This video assumes that you understand variable scopes and namespaces, specifically, the non-local keyword. If not, I recommend watching my video on variable scopes and namespaces to better understand the contents of this video. Let's get started. In this example, within the outer function, we are defining an integer variable a and a string variable name. We are also defining another function with the name inner within the body of the outer function. The inner function takes an input parameter prefix and simply prints this input parameter and the name variable defined in the non-local scope of inner. Functions are first-class citizens in Python, and everything, including functions, are objects in Python. This means you can do anything with a function that you normally do on an integer or string object, including returning it from a function. This is what we are doing at the end of the outer function. We are returning the reference to the inner function object. When Python sees the def statement for the outer function, a function object is created at some memory address, and the name outer will be a reference to it. This function's object will have attributes to store references to the objects that will be created when its body is executed. At this point, Python has only executed the function definition. So none of the objects inside its body is created yet. Now, let's see what happens when you execute the outer function and save the return value in the my_func variable. Python creates a new local scope for the outer function, and then, objects corresponding to the value of the variables defined inside the function are created. The dictionary acting as the namespace of the outer function's local scope will have variable names as keys and object references as values. I'm showing 25 and Python values directly here, but actually, they are integer and string objects created somewhere in memory with corresponding values. Similarly, a new function object is created when executing the definition of the inner function. And that inner function's object will have a reference to the same object that the name variable in the outer function points to. Note that the value of prefix is not created yet, since the inner function's body hasn't started executing. Then, when we return the inner function object, the my_func variable becomes a reference to this object. The body of my_func is only executed when you call it using parenthesis and pass the required arguments. Here we are calling my_func with the string name as input. Now, the prefix variable in the my_func function scope will be a reference to this string object, and it will be printed together with the value of the name variable. Let's start again and think in terms of scopes. After the outer function is finished executing, all of its local variables go away, except one, the object referenced by the name variable in the outer function's local scope. This is because there is another reference to it from the inner function object. Remember that the inner function's body isn't executed yet, and thus its prefix variable is uninitialized. But the name variable has a value. This non-local name variable is called a free variable. When we consider the inner function, we are looking at two things: inner function and the free variable name with current value Python. This is called a closure. The closure is a function plus an extended scope that contains free variables. This is not specific to Python, it exists in other programming languages too. At the end of the outer function, we are returning a closure. For the next example, we have a counter function that takes a start value as input. Remember that the function's input parameters are also part of its local namespace. Inside its body, we define an incrementer function that takes a step value with a default value of 1 as input. We are using the start variable from the counter function local scope in the incrementer function, thus making it a closure. Since we need to modify the start variable from the incrementer function's body, we use the non-local keyword. Then we return this closure. The function object creation happens the same as that in the previous example. Since we store the return value of the counter function in the my_func variable, it will be a reference to the closure. Next, we execute the closure by calling it and passing 2 as the value for the input parameter step. When it is executed, the value of the free variable gets updated. Note that when the function finishes execution, its input variable step again becomes uninitialized, but the free variable start persists. On subsequent executions of the closure, the same free variable keeps updating. So, the free variable is like data or state storage of the function that is available across multiple executions of the closure. Remember that the outermost function counter is something that creates a new instance of closure every time we call it. That closure will have an entirely different free variable. Here, we save the new return value in another _inc variable. Invoking the closure updates their free variables independent of the other closure instance. Let's take a moment to see what we have achieved with closures. Usually, if we want a state to be remembered across multiple calls, we use a class, and an instance variable will be storing the state. Then we modify the state using an instance method. Every instance or object will have its state. You can think of objects as data that have some functions attached to them and closures as functions that have some data attached to them. With closures, we were able to achieve the same thing. Whether to use the class or closure is up to you. For simple use cases, defining a closure might be easy. In the next example, we will see two inner functions referencing the same free variable start. So the extended scope here is shared. Changes made to the free variable through any one of the closures will be visible to the other one too. Notice that here we created two closures and one call to the counter function. That's why both were able to share the same free variable. In the previous example, two instances of the closure were created by calling counter 2 times. This code is the same as the one we saw in one of the previous examples. Let's focus on the line where we modify the non-local start variable from within the inner increment function. If you have seen my video on how variables work in Python, I was mentioning the right-hand side of the assignment operator is evaluated first. Since we had start and step, it will create a new object. Assigning it back to start becomes a reference to this new object. Doesn't that mean start in the inner function will be pointing to a new object and start in the outer function counter will be still pointing to the old object? We have already seen both variables point to the same object because of the use of the non-local keyword. To achieve this, Python uses a cell object. Instead of pointing the start variable from both scopes to the free variable directly, an intermediary cell object is created at some memory address. This cell object stores the memory address of the actual free variable object. Whenever you modify a free variable, an object corresponding to the new value is created somewhere else in the memory, and its memory address is updated in the cell object. Thus, variables from both scopes will see the change. Python provides some attributes on the function object to inspect these things. co_freevars attribute returns a tuple of free variables the function references. Closure attribute returns a tuple of cell objects that corresponds to each free variable. I will quickly demo what happens when you call the closure each time and the free variable gets updated. As you can see, on each execution of the my_closure, the free variable gets updated to the new value. The address of the cell object stays the same, but the address of the free variable integer object changes every time. You can use the cell_contents attribute of the cell object to see the current value of the free variable. You need to do indexing because closure returns a tuple. These attributes are available for all function object. For example, if we check them on our outer function counter, we get empty values since it's not a closure. co_varnams attribute shows a function's local variables, and the co_selvers attribute shows the names of local variables that are referenced by nested functions.